Hi, welcome back to the A&S Way, and this video is part 2 of our series. Does it qualify as a series?
Yeah, it's a two-part series.
Two-part series.
Like a Netflix special.
On why you would pick the UK versus the USA or the US versus the UK. And this was inspired by an Instagram question that we got from a family who are not sure which country to pick. And in our last video, we covered off the benefits and pros of why you would choose the UK.
So go and watch that first.
Yes, definitely. This video is going to be focused on why you would pick the USA. And we're hoping to give you a really balanced view across both, and you'll see that these are just our opinions.
These are definitely not facts. These are facts as we see them, which could be way off the mark.
Yes, and we're going to cover the same 5 topics that we did in the last video. So the financial stability and opportunity, healthcare, education, schooling, safety and transport, and then we'll round off with our general consensus on it. But first of all, what are we going to ask him?
I have to check. Financial stability and opportunity.
No, we're going to ask to subscribe.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, so we can secure our financial stability and opportunity. The more of you subscribe, the more we get paid.
Exactly. But yeah, it does help the channel, so please subscribe if you haven't already.
It helps our bank.
And hit that like button because you're going to like this video. So starting off on financial stability, yeah, this is not where the USA wins. So this should be a slant on the benefits, but we'll come there we'll get to that on the opportunity side. In terms of the stability, I would definitely say what we've learned so far is this can be a very punishing system if you fall on hard times or if you are not born into, what would you say, more privileged or money?
So middle class, financially better off, that type of upbringing. If you haven't had that, it can be a brutal system. And if you should fail in your attempt to get there, it can punish you a lot. That's what we've sort of picked up whilst being here, and even before coming here. It's the consensus or the feeling of being in the US. It's very individualistic. So if you win, you win. If you don't, hey, should have done better. That's how it feels.
It's as if you have to fight to get out of that system. Whereas in the UK, if you come from a council estate, the school that you go to, the healthcare that you get will be pretty much the same as somebody on a road that is living, a much more privileged life than you. Whereas here it seems that gentrification is not a thing that they try to do in terms
They
of...
gentrify themselves. The rich just create their own little spaces.
In the UK, for many, many years, they've been trying to make sure that the quality of life is the same, and then you don't have these areas that are as bad. Now, those who are from the UK will say, oh no, I know this road, that's terrible still. It's not on the same scale as here.
Yeah.
Here, there's a huge divide, and it's to the point where the healthcare, the schooling system that you're in for that area is also bad. So to even give
compounds itself. So you've grown up disadvantaged, you're going to go to a worse school, you're probably not got health insurance, so you're fighting from the very beginning, and it's really hard to break out. I see that definitely here. I will always argue in the UK that I don't think that that's true. There's of course people that are going to disagree with that. I don't think that's true of the UK system in the most part, whereas I do believe that's true here.
However, if somehow you can get out of that system, or you're
Started
starting
in
on
that system
already and you're better off, the opportunity here, I believe, is far, far more than in the UK.
So it's kind of a gambler's place
Gambler's
to be.
paradise.
It is. It's, if you're prepared to take that risk and fight, you really can benefit 20, 30x compared to the UK, because there's no real safety net. I mean, if you start to make it and it snowballs, it's same. So it snowballs down for those that are less well off, and it snowballs up for those that are. So that saying of the rich get richer, I guess, which I don't necessarily buy. It is far easier to people starting in a better position here, and money makes money, and contacts give you that opportunity. So the opportunity here is massive. Not just that, but just basic jobs. The salaries can be double in some cases, and the taxes can be, they're not exactly half, because somebody will pull me up, it's not exactly half because you have to, no, I understand that, but they can be around half in some cases, especially when you're on say $300,000, $400,000, you might be paying close to half of what you would pay because
Yeah, in
the
the UK.
tax write-offs are just unbelievable here. It doesn't even make sense, even for me. I mean, I'm benefiting from it, but it doesn't feel right at all.
And I really would stress the major thing that I've learned here is the like-for-like job in comparison to the UK pays far more here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a skilled worker of any kind, whether it's from trade, you're a senior executive, running your own business, it just seems that that combination of the salary plus how you can leverage the tax system means that you have more money in pocket.
Next up is healthcare, which is very dear to Selena's heart. It's what you do. It's what you
It's
love.
what
And
I do.
genuinely, I hear
do care a lot
you
about
talking about it, and I think you do care. It's not a job. Maybe when you chose it, actually, you was always going to choose something around healthcare, because even though you started off as medicinal chemistry and then switched over, so it was always going to be something around that. But it's something you've actually still got a passion for now, just by the way you talk about it. For me here, let's start with the positives of the healthcare. If you are a healthy couple, so that's a couple without children, and you work for a good company that provides
good health insurance,
the rates are nothing. I think we pay under $300 a month.
Yeah.
The co-pays are maybe $15 to $30. You just have to be referred. So you have to contact your primary physician. They call
I think
it
our out-of-pocket maximum is something like, what was it?
$6,000.
Might be back closer to 10 for the both of
Okay,
us.
yeah.
But maximum that we'll pay per year.
So it's beyond reasonable when you consider how much we would pay in national insurance. But the flip side of that is, if you're a family and you're not on a huge sum of money, the insurance works like all insurances. So are you healthy? How many people are in your family? So it's just us two, cheap. You might be paying $600 or $700. Now they don't take into consideration you're only on $50,000 a year. That's how much it costs. So now a huge proportion of your income is actually going to healthcare. Whereas for us, because we're healthy, we don't have children, we are on higher salaries or incomes, it's less of an impact. It's the exact inverse of the UK, which has a fixed national insurance. If you don't earn, you pay none. If you do earn, you pay 10% of whatever your salary is, regardless of your family size.
And there are schemes here, so they have Medicare and Medicaid.
Which we still don't fully understand.
And even though they do have that, it seems that there's caveats and caps to that, and the access to it isn't necessarily that easy. So whilst they do have these schemes in place for if you're on a low income or when you're over a certain age, it's not the same as the UK. So it's definitely not better than the UK. But like us, you may find that based on your income with the health insurance, there is a better system for you. The one thing I would say personally for me is navigating healthcare in US is not good. It is nowhere near as good, as easy and simplified as the NHS system.
Which we covered as well in a little bit more detail. We're trying not to go too far in because they always end up being 40 minutes in the UK version of this video, so go and watch that. But I would 100% agree, even though I'm pro the American system, because if you've got a job and you're healthy, it's relatively cheap. It is horribly complex. You don't even know what you're supposed to pay and when. They send you these weird invoices that aren't really invoices, so it can be extremely confusing, something I've never in 35 years of living in the UK experienced.
And I would say overall, if it's just about the money and you're healthy, I would say US system, definitely. And also the money affords you a better insurance and the option to get care when you want. So in that sense, if you've got money, I would pick the US system. But I would say this is where overall, I would not say it's a better system than the UK.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing is, much linked to the financial, you can, as we've learned recently, write off nearly everything. Yeah. So they've got these schemes, HSA and FSA, which I think you covered ages ago in another video. But you could say top that up to $3,000, the FSA, which is the lesser of the packages, which means you can pay for all of your out-of-pocket expenses and have that tax deductible effectively, which is fantastic. So again, people with more benefit more.
Exactly.
Education and schooling. Now, this is very difficult for us to answer. Firstly, we weren't educated or schooled here. Secondly, we don't have children to even talk about the system. We can only go by anecdotal things and things you might read in terms of the US system. Now, I think worldwide it's accepted they do have generally good education if you can afford good education. So much so, I've spoken to neighbours and people in other places where I've gone, and the people with money will talk about sending their children to private school, even really young. I guess it would be considered middle school.
Yeah, I guess so,
At 20,000 per year, maybe a bit more, which is why people need to earn a lot of money here. So they're getting private education from what we would never consider. I think I know one person that sent their kid to private school, one of mum's friends. But the education system in the UK is, especially if you live in the right place, is good enough that you don't need it.
It's not the norm in the UK to be sending your kids off to private school, whereas here it seems much more normal.
So you've got that on top of the fact, I think everybody knows about the university fees in the US, which not only do they not appear subsidised, they seem overinflated to me. I don't know whether that's true. I've never tried to research it. When I'm hearing about people with 100,000 plus worth of debt, that seems like too much. And I'm sure there's housing costs and stuff rolled in, but that seems like too much of a deficit to start your career and life off with. I do think that there should be some middle ground, and maybe there is. Maybe community college, which I've heard about, is the middle ground. Again, we aren't actually experienced in this. It's just what I'm hearing. So for me, it seems a great system if you have money. Again, you're going to get exceptional education, which is accepted worldwide. They've got some of the best doctors, some of the best physicists, some of the best tech people. Most tech is from here through their education system, but it's a pay-to-play system. There's nothing free about it, as far as I'm aware.
It's a system that means there's almost that you're forced into it, because in order to get most jobs here, we mentioned in the other video about the UK, there's less of an emphasis on your education in the UK. You don't necessarily need a degree to do well and have a career in the UK, whereas here, it really does, it seems ingrained in everything here, which means you're almost forced into this system, which means you have to go to university, which means parents are forced, if they want their kids to have that life, they then need to start saving, which is something that you don't hear about in the UK. Here it's very normal.
I've never heard someone say save for education.
No,
ever.
not at all. Whereas here it's very normal for parents to be saving. I have spoken to a few people at work about the schemes, and it does seem there are schemes available, but it's about what's available in your particular state.
Right.
And there are times when it can be cheaper, but it's more about knowing how to navigate and what schemes are available based on your income or what the state provides you. But it doesn't seem as easy as the UK. This video seems more negative around the UK. Around the USA.
Yeah, around the USA. The positive, just for the thing which I have said, is really that it does have fantastic education. That is it. It's just you then caveat that with it's going to cost you. But in terms of what education is available to, everything you could think of, from social studies to tech to medical, and linked to that, if you do go through the system, the job opportunities available to you are endless, and it will reward you financially. You can genuinely come out and within a couple of years be on six figures plus, and you can have a rapid so those people that do make it and use it for the right things, in terms of use this education to get me the job that I'm educated for, will be able to pay those debts off. But you just know that you're going to have this huge debt to begin with.
You've just reminded me of something else that so my friend, her nephew has autism, and her family, her brother moved over to the States many years ago, and one thing that he pointed out for their autistic child was that the system was a million times better than the UK, because there isn't
they're not constrained.
Yeah, and there's not these special in the UK we do have these areas within schools that help autistic children, but it's not at the scale or at the level.
It's not funded in the same way, because you need actual cash.
Exactly. Whereas in the US, because it's truly funded, they've seen a huge difference in their child here in the USA. So I would say, as long as you've got the right income, again, you can afford a much better system for your child. Fourth topic, safety. And I'm laughing at myself because we are very pro living in the USA, but as we're going through this, it seems very hard to point out where it's better. But here's my stance on safety here in the UK, on the USA.
I'm looking forward to this.
Because they don't create a minimum quality of life for everyone. It means if you have money, you can essentially pick.
There's a theme to this.
away from the bad areas. So you can be in a double gated area and you can live in what appears to be a far safer environment, which is not typical in the UK.
No.
And the segregation of, so in the UK as an example, you can have a nice area, but it could literally back onto a terrible road.
Often.
And that's very normal. You can have a nice area right next to a bad area, and that is just very normal in the UK. Here, I find that you can pick these really nice places to live that definitely feel very safe and be very far away from the more
less desirable places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my positive for USA.
I would love to have some positives, and bearing in mind we're doing a comparison from the UK to the US. For me, I'm going to have to go with what you said. You can pay to be in amazing areas that are super safe because it's mostly money, which personally I don't think is a good thing. I don't think it should be that way, so I'm going to really struggle. It's just, it's not safer.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah.
Where do we choose to be here? All right, and coming to our fifth and final topic, and that will be around transport. And
I can give the positives on that.
Go.
So I would start with saying, if you're a car lover, which a lot of Americans are, it's kind of part of being an American, then road systems are amazing.
Yeah.
They're chaos because a lot of people have very low standards of driving, but it's amazing because sometimes you've got 10 plus lanes. It can really cope with the traffic. They build most places that we would choose to live on a grid system, so it's super easy to get around. It's super easy. If an event happens on a particular road, that doesn't affect the surrounding roads because you can just take the next road down and then take a left or a right, whatever it happens to be. They have really good, every couple of miles you're going to have a auto repair shop or a garage. Fuel is, I know we're in the middle of this whole crazy moment, but fuel itself is extremely cheap, up to half the cost in the UK, particularly where we are. And if you live in Texas and Florida, it's very, very cheap. So although we've mentioned that it doesn't have the best public transport system, if you do opt for using the car, it's actually relatively good, cheap, fast, and relatively safe to travel around in a car.
And something that we haven't mentioned across the other points, the US is huge, and it is in that sense not a very fair comparison because depending on the state can change the options that you have in terms of how good the education is, also what transport's available. So as an example, if you don't want to have a car, you can pick
New York City, Manhattan.
Cities as an example. I think Chicago is one of them. San Francisco.
San Fran, yeah.
You can live without a car, and they have a transport system. So what the US has over the UK in that sense is the choice that you wouldn't normally have. You can pretty much leave where you're living and go and pick somewhere that is more to your liking in terms of the transport needs or whatever else that you want. To round off this video then, my general consensus on why you would pick the USA. I would say if income is not an issue and you are coming from more of I'm going to use the word privileged because for me it is essentially about that. If you are coming from that background, you're coming with money, I would say the US will afford you a much better chance to do better overall. And Ant used this comparison of being a betting person. I would definitely say that you can do far more here in the USA in terms of what you can achieve, in terms of the quality of life, and just the variety it gives you. The problem is it's a punishing system. So I would definitely say if you want more, come to the USA, but it is a riskier bet overall over the UK.
Yes, and just as you're saying, I was thinking, how would I summarize it? And I think for as long as you have opportunity and something to fall back on, so you've either got cash in the bank, some assets, whatever, and everything's going okay, I would always choose to be in the US. If it starts going wrong, and this is for us, if it's like, I am packing up here and going back to the UK because you know what, I'm being dead serious. You're going to be having a kid. We are going back to the UK and we're getting ourselves a free house. We're getting ourselves free education because I could go to university. We're getting ourselves free healthcare. That's the difference. Here, I would fear for our lives if it started going wrong. Not in terms of us dying, but just what would we do? You would literally be on the streets, I think.
Yeah, and it really is. It does come down to that. It's the stability of the systems that are so vastly different. And if you
safety net.
Yeah, that safety net. And if that's something that you don't have to worry about, I would say the US will give you that greater chance of doing overall much better.
It's kind of a casino that the odds are stacked in your favour, but you have to have the money to bet in the first place. It's kind of the opposite of what a casino does. You can win here and you can win massively. Oh, you've got no money. Well, then you've got nothing. You've got loads of money. Well, great. You give us some money and 9 times out of 10 you're going to win here. That's how it feels.
There you go. I hope that was an interesting 2 videos there, and it's actually even surprising for me as we went through it because I didn't really know what was...
We didn't pre-plan.
We didn't pre-plan it, and it's very telling actually I would say. But hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like, comment. Thanks for watching.